Hello, I'm Vincent.
And I'm Andrew.
And we thought we'd spend a few minutes today just talking about omnibus issues. What's an omnibus, I hear you saying? It's not something you get knocked over in the street by. Although apparently the man on the Clapham omnibus was often cited in government as the typical person one had to consider when thinking about policy. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about series of stamps issued across countries and colonies that share by and large the same design, usually issued on exactly the same day for an event. The most famous ones are from the Commonwealth, although the French have issued omnibus issues, and omnibus issues have been shared beyond the Commonwealth for things like the International Telecommunications Year and the Quiet Sun Year and all that sort of thing. But we thought, as we had a few collections, we'd show you the basic designs of some of the most famous Commonwealth omnibus issues. So I'm going to put something under the camera now, and we'll see if we can keep the shine off the page. It's quite a challenge, so bear with us. So here we have the 1935 Silver Jubilee issue. Always, or almost always, 4 values with a central vignette in a different colour to the frame. One example of something different would be the Newfoundland, which looks at first glance the same, but you'll see the central vignette's the same colour, and it was all printed in one process. But I'll turn a few pages so you can get a feel.
These all show Windsor Castle, don't they?
They all show Windsor Castle, and I guess that view probably is unaltered. Although they probably show an aircraft in the background now, because I think the flights to Heathrow quite often fly past. The most valuable stamp, however, of this omnibus issue doesn't look like that at all. It's this Egyptian overprinted stamp. I'll perhaps bring that a little towards the camera if I can. There we go. And you'll see it's got a red overprint for the Jubilee commemoration of 1935. But it's a page of different designs, but that is your basic 1935 omnibus design. I'm going to just zoom in so you can have a closer look at what that looks like. And there we go. Reasonably focused, I hope, for you all. And anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the 1935 Jubilee stamps have always been famous for the myriad of little varieties you can get them, from extra flagstaffs to dots and dashes and all sorts of things.
We should do a talk about that when we finish this film, I think. Let's do a special.
Yeah, why not?
And people can look out for that. Brilliant. Yeah, we've actually got an interesting book on all those things, and not just the ones listed in the Stanley Gibbons catalogue are of interest to specialists. So, yeah, cool. All right, we'll try the next one now. 1937 Coronation. Young King George VI and his wife, later to be known as the Queen Mother, who many of us actually remember. And the standard design, that's the British stamp that's been overprinted for Morocco agencies and Tangier, and that's the basic British stamp. But almost all the other issues shared this design, and I will just pull out one there and we'll have a go at zooming in on that so you can get the full glory of it, this beautifully balanced design.
This series, they came down to sets of 3, didn't they, rather than the Jubilees, which were sets of 4.
Yes, that's right. And I think they lowered the face value on them so collectors could afford them. I think the 35 Jubilees turned out to be a very expensive purchase if you wanted all of them, so that wasn't the idea. They wanted to spread the message and have those stamps in stamp collections for years. And so that particular Hong Kong set is only 4 cents, 15 cents and 25 cents, which is great. Right, we'll move on to the next one. Cheers, Andy. There we go. The 1946 Victory Omnibus issue, even more stripped down, considering the momentous events that preceded it. Most of these sets were just 2 values and low values again. Shows Parliament in London and a boat on the Thames there. George VI. Just a lovely, simple design. Interestingly, I'll draw your attention to a couple of sets here at the bottom which don't follow the rule, and I shall zoom in on those this time. There we go. On the bottom here we've got Hong Kong. I believe this fascinating design with that mixture of Western and Eastern iconography, of which Hong Kong is famous for, you see it on their stamps and their banknotes, was designed by a prisoner of the Japanese. So that's really quite something. And this is from Hyderabad, one of the Indian feudatory states, and they issued a single value. But otherwise, you're looking at these tremendously elegant engraved stamps. Let's move on to the next one. Here we have the 1953 Coronation of Queen Elizabeth. From this page you'll see there's the basic British set, and then these were overprinted for various places in the Commonwealth or the Empire at the time. Bahrain, Tangier, Kuwait, all the rest of it. But this is your basic design, and they were down to 1 stamp then. 1 stamp only, folks. And they shared this beautiful, elegant design, and you can see all low values. You've got a 2 cent there, and a 2.5 pence, and a half penny, and a 3 cents. Clearly a stamp designed to be collected and used by everyone. So that's a beautiful range of colours. This particular frame colour was used by the Malayan states and a few other places like Basutoland. And of course a few couldn't help themselves. Southern Rhodesia produced their own. So I shall zoom in. There we go. So we've got this intriguing higher value, 2 and 6, and then the typical omnibus issues for over 100 stamps in that series, and just that beautiful coronation, that lovely portrait, and the date of the coronation beneath. I'd already guessed our king's rough coronation date by knowing from the stamps which were the favoured months for the weather. So there we go. We'll move on to our last one, which is 1965 Winston Churchill commemoration. One moment. And there we have it. Some of the stamps for that omnibus issue shared across the British Commonwealth, with the iconic scene of St Paul's Cathedral. Or is that Westminster Abbey? No, it's St Paul's, that, isn't it? Yes.
St Paul's and Flames.
There we go. And but the Luftwaffe never managed to smash the dome in, and there it is emerging from the smoke and the flames with the searchlights. Winston on one side, Her Majesty on the other, and these were generally issued in sets of 4. Again, no high values, meant to be collected and enjoyed by everyone.
You notice the Brunei set in the middle there there's another portrait at the right, which isn't Her Majesty.
You're right.
I think that's quite unique for that issue.
Oh yes, that's true.
Monarch.
You know, I'd never thought about that before. All right, that's cool.
The Sultan.
Yes, that's it. Let's see if there are any other designs.
You get the Malta, which is a slightly different design as well.
Let's see whether they included this in this collection. There we go. You can just see, can't you? And there's the British set, of course. Couldn't help ourselves but do something slightly different. But there we are. That's a typical array of omnibus issues from the British Commonwealth or the Commonwealth of Nations, depending on what time frame you're working in. And I hope you enjoyed that quick romp through, and I think Andy and I will probably do a little talk on the 1935 Jubilees and my particular favourite issue, which is the 1948 Silver Wedding, and both very different. Thanks a lot. Any comments below, please?
Thank you.